Dear viewers, the incidence of critical illnesses are on the rise everywhere in the world. The growing incidence of critical illnesses is an emerging issue. It needs wider understanding, it needs wider debate, and we should explore what all the things that we can do to offset the financial consequences that might arise because of an incidence of critical illness in anyone's life. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, investment consultant and a financial planner.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, to discuss the topic of today, the incidence of critical illnesses, I have brought to the studio a very distinguished faculty member of NRI Money Clinic, Mr. Mathew Kurien here. Mr. Mathew Kurien, by qualification, is an MBA by profession. He is Level 3 in Chartered Insurance Institute London certifications. He has been working with Nexus insurance brokers for last 2 decades in Dubai. He has a very rich experience of helping several people, expatriates from different nationalities during the last 2 decades. He specializes in the insurance subject. He specializes in dollar investment subjects. Mr. Mathew Kurien is an award-winning photographer too. Welcome to this episode, Mr. Mathew Kurien.
Thank you, Doctor, for this detailed introduction which you've actually had for me. It's wonderful to be part of NRI Money Clinic, and I'm hoping to be able to help your viewers with this very interesting subject, critical illness.
Thank you, Mr. Mathew. Let's take the discussion forward. If I remember well, 2-3 decades before, we have never heard about a concept called critical illness being there or critical illness insurance being there. Suddenly, in the last few years, we are hearing about it. How did it all start? What's the problem?
Right. Critical illness in many ways is kind of young compared to life insurance. Today, if you were to ask anyone about life insurance, they know what it is. Critical illness emerged in 1967 by the South African doctor who actually said that it's important to have people be able to live even if there were major diseases which they had to suffer and continue. And this was only possible with a lump sum which had to get paid out to them. So this is the whole concept of critical illness and how it emerged. And today it has obviously evolved over time.
Or you mean to say that critical illness insurance has nothing to do with the death? It is about living benefit which gets paid to a policy holder.
Absolutely, yes.
A life insurance gets paid to the nominees when a policy holder dies.
Yes.
Here in this case, a big lump sum gets paid out to the policy holder when he is alive.
Absolutely. What we refer to as a living benefit, like you rightly said.
Excellent. I have read about this critical illness insurance and a lot of discussion which is happening over the internet and people asking us questions. Many people are of the opinion that critical illness insurance is all about a hospital insurance. Is it the truth or critical illness insurance is something different?
Okay. To clarify to your viewers, it's a misconception to consider a medical insurance and a critical illness. As I said earlier, it's a lump sum which is paid out to the family to take care of this individual, as compared to a medical cover which will take care of the bills in the hospital. Here you're talking about daily expenses and important commitments the individual will have because he's unable to work.
Okay.
So his dependents are actually going to be able to receive this, look after him and look after themselves for their day-to-day expenses. It could be EMIs, it could be in terms of commitments for their education fees. You can go on with that list.
Or you mean to say that the hospital-related bills have to be charged to a Mediclaim account?
Yes.
And he gets a lump sum here. I presume that when a person suffers from a critical illness, he is not able to work temporarily or permanently, and the stream of income what he was getting by way of a business income or a salaried income would stop, and that can be easily replaced from the proceeds which come out of this critical illness insurance policy. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. So this is an income replacement to make sure that this individual and his family are looked after.
Oh, this is a very good concept. See, everybody talks about, when I talk to people about buy a life insurance, many people say, when I am gone, it's not my business. But here, You're buying an insurance to help yourself.
Absolutely. That's why it's referred to as a living benefit. The individual is alive, but he's unable to work. He's not able to contribute to the family.
Okay. Now, when we talk about critical illnesses, what are critical illnesses? How many diseases are there? What is described as a critical illness? Is there a clarity around what is a critical illness, what is not a critical illness? How does the insurance companies describe them?
Okay, to be very specific, we're talking about critical illness as 36 specific illnesses. I can go on with that list, but for most people who understand it and have heard about it because of relatives, friends, etc., who have actually succumbed to critical illness, and it would be things like heart attack, cancer, renal failure, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, total blindness. I can go on with that list. But these are some of the top illnesses which I would want to just specify.
If these are the diseases, if I have to remember, probably every person can recollect one or the other persons in his office or a friend circle or a relatives, he can correlate itself. There are quite a rampant number of these diseases these days. Heart attack is something household name. Cancers, there is no age limit today. Everybody, this problem of lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle. Are these the ones which are predisposing individuals into this critical illness problem?
Lifestyle is one of the main things I would qualify as the reason why people are actually getting critically ill. More than anything else, I have to say it's stress at work, which is then aggravating this whole situation. And like you rightly said, our food habits, our sedentary lifestyles, where we're hardly spending time exercising, we have become what they call as couch potatoes, unfortunately. And more so in this COVID times when we are spending more time sitting down in front of a computer. So this is such a vital part of critical illness and trying to understand this as a concept.
Okay. There was a time when people used to say cancer will happen to somebody who is older, or heart attacks are something which will happen at the later part of the year. Is it still valid? Are there any changing trends which are visible in the present circumstances?
Doctor, actually, I want to say not just changing, they're shocking.
Oh, really?
They're absolutely shocking because I personally have actually seen young women who have got breast cancer, age 32, 34, have paid out. And then something which my father, which was very close to me now, Parkinson's, when he got Parkinson's at age 67, now I've actually paid out to someone who's 52 years old. And this is shocking. And this is something which I think each one of us should be aware of, that it's not age related.
So we just can't dispose it of telling that I am very young, it is not for me, let's look at it when it comes to that. It may happen at later part of life, let me look into that when it comes to it. So that argument no more holds. It can happen to anyone at any point of time.
Absolutely, because when I'm looking at some statistics which are from some of the multinationals who are working in this region, I think the youngest critical illness payout was for someone who was 29 years old.
29 years and a critical illness?
Yes. So it's actually that's why I use the word shocking, because these we always thought were for people who are older and always kept it aside for people to plan for at a later age, but not relevant anymore.
Okay. Mr. Mathew, you have a very rich experience of working with different nationalities, different age groups, and you have spent close to 2 decades in this part of the world. Are there any specific data to say that men are suffering from this, women are suffering from that, this age group or some other age group or some nationalities have some predisposition for that? Any statistics that you have to share for the benefit of our viewers?
Sure. I mean, some of the important statistics, if I may look at all the different kinds of critical illnesses, 36 as I said, 2 of the important ones which I want to actually highlight are that for men, it's the vascular diseases, which means it could be heart attack, it could be stroke. And the second part for women, it could be cancer. And that's the scary part of it. There are more women succumbing to cancer than men. And for men, it's more in terms of vascular diseases, most probably the stress.
Okay. Is it only for the Indian community or is it for the other nationalities also similar trends are available?
I would think that it is for the nationalities in general, but shockingly, there are more and more Indians because of us being NRIs and the fact that we are under a lot of stress. Not to say that we don't have the stress back in our home countries, but more than anything else, I think there seem to be heart attack as one of the big reasons for critical illnesses for men more than women.
Okay. When we talk about critical illnesses, you told us about the emerging trends around this and what kind of diseases that might be expected in particular age groups or particular gender. When we talk to people about buying a critical illness insurance, they are of the opinion that their employer has given them the critical illness insurance, and you have worked on the employer side also. You are very active in giving group lives and other things. Tell me from the statistics which is available, is it true that the employers really cover their employees for critical illness, or is it an assumption that the employees feel that they are covered by their employer?
Very important point, Doctor. What I want to highlight is, again, because people have this misconception that critical illness and medical covers are similar, so they always assume that they have a critical illness cover through the employer. The reality is it's actually a medical cover with a limit. So you could have a limit of 250,000 dirhams or equivalent, or 500,000 or a million, whatever. So that's the limit, and they think that's the cover they actually have with regards to critical illness cover. In reality, they aren't covered for critical illness. However, I want to also give you the other side of the coin, which is some multinationals do offer critical illness cover on a basic salary into X number of years. It could be 1 year or 2 years on the basic salary, which is paid out as a group life cover or a group critical illness cover. So multinationals do offer that, not all, but some.
So is it, if your employer is giving you critical illness cover, is it safe to depend on that, or a person has to buy it on his own to be doubly sure? See, my question comes from the fact that today people don't remain in the same jobs. Their jobs are not guaranteed. At a very short notice, people may lose jobs, the business may fail, and these people may be put out of the employment list. How does an individual make sure that he has a cover just in case if he doesn't have a job? What can he do about it?
Very relevant because of the floating population here. And I would think that what's vital is that even a lot of employers would actually look at it in terms of making sure that they would want to cover their employees, but invariably the costs associated with that are too high. So what they do is they expect the employees to actually cover themselves. So this may not be the case with all companies, but some multinationals do that.
Okay. I understood that, or is it safe to say that it's a good idea to have your own personal critical illness cover or a sublimit under your life insurance cover, just in case if you have to change the job, or if you are in between the jobs, or if your employer just says, I don't have a job for you, and insurance company says that you have some pre-existing problem and I will not give you. Is it better for someone to have his own insurance even if his employer is covering him?
Absolutely, I agree with you there, because what's very important is that insurance, or rather critical illness cover, is such that it should be something which the individual decides to take for himself or herself, purely because he should not be dependent only on the company. Having said that, when we move from one company to the other, the possibility is that you may not get covered in the second company. So it's better to be independent, point one. Point two, as we grow older, the cost of critical illness goes up. Also, as we are healthy today, I always recommend take it when you can.
Okay. You have driven home this point that an individual should have his own critical illness cover. That point is understood. The crucial question is, how much is sufficient? How much should an individual buy? Is there any thumb rules which are available around that? How does a person has to approach this problem? How much should I buy?
Very interesting topic which can go on into a long discussion, but normally the thumb rule which I would consider is on the income of this individual, annualized income, and I would consider at least 2 years annualized income as a base. To give you a reference, say if someone's earning $100,000, we should have a base of at least $200,000 of critical illness cover. And why would we want to do that? Because it's a replacement of your income. Can this individual recover from this critical illness straight away, or would he be sometimes bedridden, or would it be that he's not able to work and he has to support the family? So that's the whole objective. So we always would consider this buffer, point one. Point two is to consider the fact that as we grow older, the possibilities are higher.
Okay.
And we are factoring the possibility that the cost of medical being higher and the cost of living going up. We always have a buffer to make sure that this individual is able to cover himself or herself for the future as well, not just for today.
Okay. You mean to say that at least 2 years of your annual income should be your critical illness cover or a sublimit under a life insurance? And the principle of higher the amount is better, subjected to your affordability. Is it a safe statement to make for the benefit of our viewers?
I would think that would be a safe way of looking at it, realistically.
Right. Mr. Mathew, when we discuss all these things, one more question comes into my mind is, now we have drawn the attention of the public towards buying a critical illness cover.
Yes.
Now there could be standalone critical illnesses policies. There could be critical illness cover given as a rider under a life insurance policy.
Yes.
What's the right thing for people to do out of these two?
Again, very relevant question you have asked. And I would think what is interesting is when I do my financial planning, I help people with not just life insurances. Along with that, obviously, it's critical illness cover, which is clubbed with that. And I invariably would recommend that because it works out to be a lot more cheaper for them to do that. But if someone already has a life cover but does not have a critical illness cover, then it would be a specific critical illness cover to take care of that particular need.
Okay, right. So a situational answer here in this case.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mathew, for bringing to the benefit of our viewers all these points which are very, very relevant. And also welcome to the expert panel of NRI Money Clinic, and welcome as a team member of Expert Financial Planner on our channel as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, critical illness is not something to be brushed aside. It's a serious issue. Please check your insurance policies whether you have a critical illness cover or not. If it is possible to add a critical illness rider to the existing policies that you have, you should take that step today. If you do not have one, it's a good idea to buy a critical illness insurance as early as possible. So my simple suggestion to you is reach out to your financial planners wherever you are. Make sure that you are covered for critical illnesses. Just in case, if you want to use our distribution services to buy a critical illness cover, our numbers are shown here on the screen. You can reach out to us through a WhatsApp message, and if you have a jurisdiction to cover your territory, we'll help our best for you to get a critical illness cover. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. If you think the subject that we discussed today was of use to you, give me a thumbs up. If you are a person watching this channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for this channel, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. I will come back to you with yet another topic in yet another video very, very soon.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.